You're dressed to the nines, but you're just the minor villain the hero is destined to beat to a pulp. The plan? Squander the family fortune without ever lifting a finger. If you want to see a genius flip the script, stick around. This is how trash of the Count's family kicks off. Cale is officially done being the story's designated punching bag, so to help him avoid another world-class beatdown, smash that like button and subscribe to see if he ever gets his peaceful retirement. Let's go. In a land crawling with heroes, this is the story of a transmigrated guy whose luck has officially run out. After decades of survival, Choi Han finally clawed his way out of the forest of darkness. He found a flicker of humanity in Harris Village. For the first time, he let his guard down, all because an old woman showed him that not everything in this world is out for blood, but peace is a fragile thing. It didn't even last a heartbeat. He returned from gathering herbs only to find his friends had been slaughtered without a second thought. A group of hooded figures had torn through the place, turning his new home into a graveyard. Choi Han had spent years killing monsters to survive, but until today, he'd never taken a human life. Seeing the woman who cared for him lying cold on the ground, something inside him just snapped. Those killers have no idea what kind of hell they've just unleashed. Choi Han isn't just fighting, he's dismantling them. He moves like a blur, carving through them like they're made of paper. In the blink of an eye, the threat was gone, and the attackers were nothing more than stains on the floor. Once the adrenaline faded, the weight of his mistake hit him. He'd worked too fast, not a single one was left alive to answer his questions. Now he's left with nothing but ashes and a thirst for vengeance that's eating him alive. As he buries his people, his despair hardens into a single, cold promise. He's going to find whoever did this and wipe them off the face of the earth. One by one, with blood on his hands and his home in flames, he makes his way to Western City, the heart of the Hennetus territory. That's where he crosses paths with Cale, the local drunk who thinks his family name makes him untouchable. Poor bastard. He picked the absolute worst day to play tough with the wrong man. Choi Han isn't in the mood for a rich kid's temper tantrum. He leaves him face down in the dirt like a piece of trash. Suddenly, someone opens their eyes to a golden mirror and a face they don't recognize. A handsome redhead is staring back. And it turns out he's just woken up as the very same loser who just got the life beaten out of him. Just a moment ago, he was an ordinary guy who fell asleep reading a novel called The Birth of a Hero. Now he's trapped in the body of the story's official punching bag. He's inherited the role of the guy who only exists to get thrashed, so the hero can look good. If he wants to keep his teeth, he's going to have to think fast. The new Cale has one goal. He knows that if he sticks to the script, the protagonist is going to break him again. His plan is simple: live like a king, blow the family fortune, and stay so far off the radar that no one ever finds a reason to hit him. He knows this book by heart, and his survival strategy is already in motion. Yeah, this might actually work. Cale finishes washing up, trying to wrap his head around his new life, but duty calls. The day is already starting without him. He steps out, doing his best to play it cool, but just seeing Ron makes his skin crawl. The old man looks like a sweet, doting grandfather, but he's actually a world-class assassin, essentially a ticking time bomb in a tuxedo, and Cale plans to pawn him off on the protagonist the first chance he gets. He knows the world is headed for a total meltdown, and he needs enough power to survive, but not so much that he has to do any actual work. The goal is to be the rich guy nobody notices while everyone else is busy dying in the war. He asks for something simple to wear, only to realize this body is a genetic masterpiece. With a face like this, he could make a potato sack look like high fashion. As he walks through the halls, the maids freeze in their tracks. Since the original Cale was a notorious, short-tempered drunk, this atmosphere of pure terror works perfectly for him. It means everyone will stay out of his hair. Ron holds the door to the dining hall open, revealing the rest of the family gathered for breakfast. His father, Count Daruth, Countess Violin, his brother Basin, and little Lily. The meal begins with a tension so thick you could choke on it, but Cale only has eyes for the food. He gives his father short, polite answers just to get back to his plate. The feast is so good, he almost forgets the man pouring his juice could crush his windpipe before he even finishes his next bite. In the middle of the silence, Cale lets out a satisfied smile, and Basin looks like he's seen a ghost. To him, seeing Cale smile is like a solar eclipse, a rare, unsettling event that probably signals the end of days. The air at the table is incredibly stiff, but Cale couldn't care less. He samples the wine with a grace he definitely didn't possess yesterday, and to everyone's absolute shock, mentions how delicious the meal is. Daruth nearly chokes. Usually, Cale would be throwing plates and screaming about the service, so seeing him actually enjoy himself makes it feel like he's a completely different person. The Count is so relieved his eyes are practically sparkling. Finally, a breakfast without flying silverware. Cale, meanwhile, has realized that being the black sheep is the ultimate hack. Nobody expects manners, and nobody expects him to be useful. His master plan is to let Basin do the heavy lifting of ruling while he lives the high life as the lazy older brother. And if the coming war gets too close for comfort, he'll just pack his bags and move somewhere peaceful. When his father tries to be nice and asks if he needs anything, Cale cuts straight to the chase. He wants cash. No drama, no strings attached. Just give me the money and we're good. The old man's reaction leaves him floored. He's so happy his son isn't destroying property that he promises him all the gold he can carry. Cale just realized his family isn't just wealthy. They are never work a day in your life loaded. He basically just secured his retirement fund before turning 20. But the peace is short-lived. He calls Ron over to confirm the date, and his blood runs cold. It's March 29th. Choi Han, the actual protagonist and the guy who beat the original Cale into a coma in the book, is about to arrive in town. The clock is ticking, and if Cale doesn't move fast, he's going to end up as a human punching bag for a guy who's looking for an excuse to break something. Cale rolls into town in a carriage that practically screams, "I'm filthy rich." He hops out in front of a tea shop with a name straight out of a cheesy romance novel and dismisses the driver without a second thought. The poor guy is left reeling. He's so used to Cale being a belligerent drunk that this polite version is actually scarier than a court summons. But Cale doesn't have time for small talk. His schedule is packed today. The moment he steps inside, the silence is deafening. Nobody can figure out what a high-ranking noble is doing in a place like this. Sitting in the back is Billos, the bastard son of a wealthy merchant family. To Cale, the guy is just a walking piggy bank, a suit-wearing shark who only thinks in profit margins. Taking full advantage of his unlimited budget, Cale decides to be a bit demanding, but with a touch of class. He slams a stack of cash onto the table and rents out the entire third floor for the day. He orders a tea that isn't bitter and asks for the most interesting book they have on hand. Billos nearly chokes when he sees the size of the tip, but Cale just tells him to keep the change and mind his business. Spending someone else's inheritance like there's no tomorrow really is the ultimate dream. Settled in by the window, Cale tries to put the novel out of his mind, but it's impossible. In the original story, Choi Han arrived in the city after losing everything, desperately seeking help to bury his people. But the old Cale was a total piece of work who mocked the lives of the villagers while nursing a bottle of booze. That encounter ended with Choi Han giving him the beating of a lifetime, a memory that still gives the current Cale the chills. Suddenly he spots him. Choi Han is at the city gates. Since he doesn't have any ID, the guards refuse to let him in, and the guy obediently turns away. Cale knows better. He's just waiting for nightfall to hop the wall. That's exactly when he'd usually cross paths with a drunken Cale in a dark alley. It's time to move. Cale gets up and leaves the shop without causing a single scene. The other customers are stunned. They can't believe the young master trash actually left without breaking anything. Walking down the street, Cale keeps his priorities straight. He's not trying to be a hero. He just wants a quiet, stress-free life. To get that, he needs protection, powers that will keep him safe without requiring too much effort. His first stop is a bakery. It's time to set the bait and claim the indestructible shield. Billos nearly has a heart attack the moment he sees the redhead walk into his shop. The guy doesn't beat around the bush, he just demands bread, straight up. The merchant stands there frozen, trying to process why the town's most notorious drunk is suddenly asking for food instead of his usual daily ration of booze. Cale points to the display case and tells him to pack up every single loaf he's got, then tosses a gold coin onto the counter like it's nothing but loose change. The man starts bagging at lightning speed, terrified the young master might change his mind if he takes too long. He stumbles out with a bag that's nearly as big as he is. It's painfully obvious he's never lifted anything heavier than a wine glass in his life, because he's already struggling under the weight. As he walks, the crowd parts like he's got the plague, a nice little reminder that up until yesterday, he was the official village degenerate. A couple of kids tail him from the shadows, convinced he's up to no good. Cale trudges up the hill, drenched in sweat and cursing his pathetic lack of stamina. He finally reaches a rickety wooden gate that seems to be standing purely out of habit, and on the other side, he's met by a massive tree radiating some seriously dark vibes. This isn't exactly a spot for a picnic. It looks like something straight out of a nightmare. Just as he's about to step closer, those kids from earlier pop out to warn him against doing something suicidal. They say this trunk is more than happy to welcome anyone looking to hang themselves. With one catch, by morning, it spits them back out as mummified corpses. Legend has it that a glutton was once kicked out of his temple for overeating. He starved to death right here, and this tree sprouted from his remains, a living monument to spite and an empty stomach. It's the ultimate irony. He spent his final moments begging for a single bite, only to become an entity that guards an ancient power on a permanent fast. But Cale isn't here to pay his respects. He knows this thing is the indestructible shield he needs, but to claim it, he has to treat the deceased to dinner first. The kids stare at him in horror, absolutely certain the young master is about to end it all. Cale isn't in the mood to play babysitter. He leans into his reputation and asks if they've ever heard of Cale the Trash, the most dangerous guy in town. That's all it takes to send them running for their lives. Still, the girl with the gray hair lingers for a second, watching with a mix of fear and curiosity. She suspects this madman knows something they don't. With no witnesses left, Cale tosses the first loaf into the hollow at the base of the trunk. The darkness swallows it instantly. This thing is a bottomless pit. Cale doesn't flinch. He knows these ancient powers are 1,000 times more reliable than people. If you give them what they want, they deliver. The plan is simple. Keep feeding that hunger until the darkness finally fades. And the light of the shield reveals itself, so he rips the bag open and starts tossing bread like he's feeding pigeons at the park. Eat up, pal. Today's meal is on the house. Talk about handing out beatdowns like there's no tomorrow. Just like the MC feeds that bottomless pit to power up his shield, you guys need to feed that like button to armor up the channel. Hit subscribe to keep the family growing, and drop a comment letting me know which manhwa you want to see next. Catch you later.